Welcome to another session, or the first actual ever, where it's on camera of the weekly edition. This is our visual one. As you know that we've got the paper where this interview is going to be there. But yeah, and we're having none other than Bongani Baloyi. And I've asked again, Shiluva. Hey! I got it right. That name. Yes. You don't know, I had sleepless night. Yeah. How are you, sir?
No, I'm very well, thanks. And thank you for having me on your platform.
No, thank you for honoring the interview, man. Yeah, it actually means a lot. Actually, this paper has had you before. I think we had you on the first on our cover page years back, 2015, 2016, I think. Yeah, back then. Yeah, but yeah, and here we are again.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, let's just, for those who don't really know you, if you have to explain yourself briefly to somebody and make them understand who are you, how would you?
Yeah, look, I'm a patriot, first and foremost.
Okay.
I love my country, and I believe in my country's abundance of beauty, opportunities, and a shared and prosperous future for all of us. Mm-hmm. And I'm a servant. Mm-hmm. You know, when you love your people, you give of yourself and of your time so you can serve, so you can share what you believe is your purpose with people. Mm-hmm. So I am a servant, I'm a patriot, I'm a child of many people, I'm an uncle to some, I'm a brother to some, I'm a father to some. Yeah. So as an African man, your role depends on what position you occupy at what specific point in time. Mm-hmm. But for those who know me, I'm just a loyal servant, I'm a patriot, I love my country, and I love Abantu of my country, and I really think South Africa is the best country.
A beautiful country, yeah. Politics, you know, when someone looks at you, you look like this. You know, politics has got people in at Bafunu. You both come up, but why did you meet politics? Have you always wanted to be a politician, or it's something that just hit you on the road?
Look, I think some of us are born for specific things. Mm-hmm. I was fortunate because I was born in a family which was politically inclined.
Okay.
So my father and mother were Pumethokoza.
Okay.
My father Kumalo Street, not too far from the hostel, Kaboma Maxim Gun. So you can just tell where we were brought up, what it was politically inclined. So my mother was politically inclined. So So I'd seen engayi thole strategy abantu batoyito and I'm not young.
Okay.
No, into engayi thole endlini. And the interesting part is that what it carries with you is being curious, questioning things, and wanting to make your voice heard, and believing that your effort can translate into something of good. So at various stages, I was just reintroduced back to it, and I realized that I'm actually passionate about being of service to my country.
Okay, and your parents' political affiliation, was it with the current ruling party?
Yeah, my mother started with the ANC. Yeah. It was normal.
It was normal.
You wouldn't go to ACGP as an example. It's either ANC on this side of the road, Kumalo Street, IFP.
Okay.
So we're on this side, ANC. So that has been my first interface with politics.
Okay.
So when we were still growing up, and I was leading the MK zone of Kumalo Street.
Okay.
So one was exposed to these things from a very young age. And I think those are the things that shaped me to what I am today.
So you once were affiliated with the ANC?
I've never had a membership of ANC.
Okay,
my mother had membership. Okay. My Baba Mnganwami had membership.
So
I would also accompany them to my meeting. So I never formally took membership in ANC. But my family was always part of it.
So then when you...
Is this very same mother of mine?
Okay.
Yeah, this mother of mine.
When she moved from ANC to DA.
Yes.
Okay.
So we were also living from Etogoza in 1999, 31st of December.
Okay.
I remember. We moved to Midval. From Togoza.
Okay.
So Magungena with 2000, we're already in Midval, and that's where she and I think because she was politically inclined, Walwa with the previous mayors around there, and eventually I said, how can we recruit this woman? Because we can tell her passion for things. It's not political, but it's about issues and service delivery. And that's how it started. So my mother then decided, you know what, I'm an independent mind. and I pursue my own agency wherever I go. So le nto yokuthatha iy'nqumo ezi-unpopular kusinto yinto engiyithole endlini akusinto engiyisabayo because I've seen my mother saying but no mina ngumuntu ngiyazicabangela akunamuntu ozongifunza into engingayifuni. Instead I pursue what I believe is right for me and my family. So when she took that unpopular steps, obviously family were judgmental,
of course,
bangazwisisi babona bambiza amagama and all these things, and the community around there as well. So sabona sabekezelela because it was what she wanted, and eventually it opened the path for me to be where I am today.
Wow, man, very interesting, very interesting. So now, in this journey, now there you are, you joined the DA. Ever had any dreams of being mayor, president, what? Or it was just joining because now politically you have been charged entering? Do you have those dreams when you joined?
I wanted to serve. And then I saw the first part of serving, you led a campaign. So, because I've been involved in the DA from 2008. So, being part of various campaigns, elections, campaigning, and doing all those things. And I came into council in 2011, end of May. And there I was elected as a member of the mayoral committee and given the responsibility to lead economic development. Now, I'm 24 years old at that point.
I know you're the youngest.
So I don't know much of government, so I had to learn about government and learn how to navigate and understand what is governance, what is delivery, and how does a politician or public representative conduct themselves in relation to governing and leading. And how do I commit to a standard myself? Because I can see people around me kodwa le standard salo mjita lona ngathi siphansi ayisiphansi lento lena angiyifuni mina lento le for myself. I'm not better than him, but I need to have my own standard. So then you see the things with dreams is empowered or unlocked by delivery and gaining understanding and believing in yourself. Then you gain confidence to believe and dare. But the confidence for me was when there's an opportunity to lead Midval, when the former mayor pursued other opportunities, there was a vacancy. And I'm 26, by then I've been in...
Who pushed you there?
No one pushed me.
You just stood there and said, I want that position.
Angithi ngiyabazla abantu bengisebenza nabo. Ngayibona ukuthi angeke.
This country.
Ngeke. Lana ngazenzela. So I saw phela angithi when you come in and you're a young person, I mean, I didn't have much experience, but I had time. I stopped living for 2 years while I was there. My only bread and butter was Midval. So I read a lot. I asked a lot of questions.
Better than anybody else there.
So I knew the limitations. The only advantage they had was experience. The experience we found. And then ungabi novalo to take decisions as well. But you see, it requires you first to go through a difficult period where you don't chase popularity, but you chase some savings and understanding. So you build capacity first. So I knew around me in that time, there were abantu who were lazy. And people who knew at 4:30 I'm humming engine. When I left at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, people who knew, who were saying to me over weekends, they must prioritize time for their grandchildren. I didn't even have a cat. So then it became my life.
And you ran the cleanest and the most beautiful mayorship I've ever seen in this country, actually.
No, absolutely. I mean, it was also empowered by those I worked with. Because one of the things about leadership people don't tell you is confidence comes from competence and understanding of subject matter. So, you can influence. You can influence people because you read reports, you've got opinions, you've got views, and they trust your judgment. So when people send you documents, you scrutinize, you engage, and you give substantive input and value. So people realize but the person we are working with has an interest in our thoughts. And one of the biggest lessons I learned is that as a leader, it's less about you. So I needed to create a platform for people around me to be able to be stars and shine. So once my people around me are able to grow and be confident and comfortable in their abilities, and I need to nurture. Because ultimately, I'm the last person to shine. So I must make sure with this team is moving as a team, understanding its limitations, which I have set, understanding the goals that we have set together, understanding how I've allocated the resources towards the attainment of these things. So you sit back and you understand, Guti, yours is to manage the entire thing.
Yeah.
And to manage the entire thing means I can't behave like a Beyonce.
Yeah.
I must create a platform for people to shine.
Yeah.
And for me, so I really need to dominate and own the thinking ability of the institution, and that's where power lies. So the power the power. So what people don't understand what power is. They think power is to tell you you'll get this tender.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and you'll get this tender. Then that's power. For me, power is to be able to shape an institution to deliver water and increase access to water every year, without fail. Power is when you say an institution with set targets, and I can tell you without fear or failure that every year 93% were meeting the targets we've set.
Wow.
That is power.
Wow.
And continuous.
Before we leave the DA, what do you miss about the DA? I know there's been divorce, but even if you've divorced someone, there could be things that you look back and say, okay, she cooked a nice
Not
chicken.
me.
Yeah, so you don't miss anything about
No, I've got no beef.
Yeah.
Hakatibelo.
Yeah, no, of course.
I left on my own time.
So you missed nothing.
No. I'm not making it sound like I'm bragging or degrading other people. No. Everything that I wanted to achieve, I had achieved.
Yeah.
And I ensured with the people who were there, I empowered them. So if you can look at the current existing mayoral committee, there's a number of people there who are there because I opened the door for them. Now, I opened the door for them, they got in. And I ensured which I also gave black people an opportunity. From James Butswiri, Amelia Zugudu, David Nyagu, Solingri, Peter Texera, Muketi Mutsamai.
Yeah.
Yes, he was appointed by me as a member of the mayoral committee, and I could see that there was times when he needed assistance, needed nurturing and guidance, and I was able to provide that. So when I left without this thing, hey man, there's unfinished things. No.
Okay.
For me, I had a fantastic era.
That chapter.
No one can touch that chapter. I was able to do things at Shulamakel.
Yeah.
So which municipality ran by a 26-year-old starting there gets a clean audit, and there's 9 consecutive clean audits.
Yeah. Now, you then went to Masha. Yeah. And I waba the dust again. What happened?
No, look, I think it started well. The problem was, in hindsight, I think that he was a bit insecure. So insecurity, and also people around him who are telling him, hey, you must watch this Bongani. And then I saw over a period of time, he quickly believes rumors and gossips, and more so if it feeds his ego. You see, there's 2 ways. If you want to sustain a relationship with him, you must do 2 things. One, you must tell him how he's provocative on Twitter and he's hitting people, and then what happened?
So when you stroke that ego, you are a good man.
Yes, and then when you then go and gossip about others, and then make lies where these ones are linked to ANC.
Okay.
Because you know the things are battling.
Yeah.
So anything linked to what perceived to be a thing as battling, then he listens and then believes. And does not have the courage to then say, Barik Awen, and then bring the person Abu and
So he brings the attitude, not asking you good day now.
So when it manifests, and for me, it's how it manifests when we are meeting and he says, to me, we no longer have a relationship, and we can't call each other. And as a consequence, I want to remove you as the chairperson of Action SA in Gauteng and appoint you as a national spokesperson. You see, that does not make sense. You can't say to a person, I'll go tape your relationship has deteriorated, the national spokesperson who speaks on my behalf and defends what I say.
Yeah.
So I saw that, the plan there was to say to me, the original plan was to say to me, Bongani, we believe you've got a skill in communicating, can communicate better, and we believe that you can play a bigger role than being the chairperson of the province. But because yena akhono who limit what he feels, abuwe atware line e ba ibuilang ba yona. So he told me, no matter what, maybe those lam lo mhlulile man. Lam khapele se ba ikhipha yonke lento lena. So from there I realized, I've worked hard, my brother.
Yeah.
I've worked there was no stage where I was made to feel Uguti because I'm a young person, I can be someone's so-and-so or more to among, and people can play around with me. So I take myself seriously and I contribute and I add value. So, and there's no time when someone is going to abuse me. So I mean, I've said that standard Uguti. Into umuntu mangibona ngathi seso delelana akungcono ngishene ndaba.
Okay.
Yeah, so and it was important because the choice I had to make is, do I walk out of here and pull everything? Or do I walk out of here and take my dignity?
But what made you choose him? Because there was no system him that wanted you politically.
I thought because it was a new party can easily be influenced in terms of policy.
Okay.
And I think they realized that I was beginning to assert influence in direction, and it made him uncomfortable because he would say statements like, we will never do, as a country, when we govern the country, we will never have any relationship with the communist bloc. Now, a communist bloc is language of the 1920s, 30s, 40s there. I was not even born with that language. So when you use that language now, there's not such a thing as a communist bloc, number one. As a matter of fact now, it's a historical fact, but not now. And then you ask him, who's the communist bloc? Because now I'll say Russia and China could easily be seen as communist bloc. There's no way in modern economics and geopolitics you can avoid the two. No, and I've always approached politics from a disposition that unilateralism by the West is not something I agree with. We live in a new world where the sovereignty of countries must be respected. So when countries have unilateralism and by sanctioning others, I don't agree with that. There has to be a way where in terms, yes, and the multipolar politics is important now. One, we must, the issue of a new currency by formation of BRICS is something that excites us very much, because it removes unilateralism. Now, because we've got one global currency, that's a global reserve trade currency in the world, and one country can impose sanctions and you can't use the money. So it really hampers your ability. And also what we also speaking about is that there has to be fairness in how you deal with issues of geopolitics and conflict. So you can't say the ICC issuing a warrant of arrest to Putin is a good thing when there's no warrant of arrest for Barack Obama, who's this guy from Britain, Tony Blair, and a few other people, when there's no things like that.
But you're thinking now, wow, we did not hear this while you were still in the DA. Was it, what happened? Because now, hey, we are shy these days. Is it restrictions that were put for you that you can't just go and talk? Because DA does not agree with this politics as you're talking now. But when did you start taking this stance? Does it go far back, but you held it in, or it's a newfound stance?
No, I think as a human being, they're cool.
Okay.
And if you look at my phase in Midval, I was more specific towards governing.
Okay.
And I really represented and immersed myself with the work of a mayor. Okay. And I advocated for things that affect mayors in the country and the things that affect local government. So I was quite vocal about that space. But now, as a new party that's coming into national politics, you must have an appreciation of national geopolitics as well. Okay. So it's incumbent that when you get into that space, you prepare and you ask yourself, but when this is like this, when this is like this. But because we've always had views that there has to be issue of unilateralism has to be dealt with. So you can't be in a situation where your natural disposition is you must support whatever UK and America says. I don't agree with that. Okay. So as a people, none of these countries have been supportive in our historically have been supportive in whatever way, more so for native African people. They felt the biggest brand, the extraction of resources to Britain, to the US, and to various other persons as well. Look at how they cut Africa into different parts, where the French has their part. Look at what's happening in Mali. Look at what Belgium did in the Congos as well. So different European countries really cut up and did whatever they wanted, and they're sitting with reserves. And yet, Rona, we are mineral rich. We should be the ones who determine a number of these things, but no, we don't, because one, we have embraced the full Western democracy system, which has its flaws, right? And number two, we've got politicians who have become the representatives and the protectors of a system which disenfranchises Africans perpetually. So you realize that the system is inherently flawed. So even those you trust the most to be able to represent you and be revolutionaries will not be able to do so because the system will put it on them to defend the system. So where we come into the fold is to say, but these things are wrong. Now the birth of Shiloh, saying these things are wrong. What is the new world that we see? Yes, in a world where our first point of departure is Sababelung. So that thing is problematic. And again, we also make an analysis that according to our view, black people are the most committed to reconciliation.
Yeah.
Angaze ngahlangana nebhunu elangitshela the way lithanda ngakhona reconciliation, the way afuna ukubamba nabantu abamnyama. Angiyazi abantu abamnyama njalo siyaxoxa sithatha abantu abamnyama sibayisa in stadium.
It's only blacks.
Yeah, it's us busing our people and busing unemployed people.
We reconcile among ourselves, actually.
There's no reconciliation.
Yeah.
My brother, for as long as, let's assume there are moments after the 1994 elections that demonstrated reconciliation. It's this rugby thing.
Oh, yeah.
Enzekile sawina ngabo 95 I think Bafana won AFCON, and then I think it was World Cup, and then manje Springboks a few times. But here's the irony, we are all together there, Master Stadium. Mayiphela lento le wena uyogibela amateksi awu-3 ukuthi uzofika back la from Soweto lengama lengena emotweni yayo la straight esentini. So then you are left with the feeling. But the feeling yakhona material in your hands, it leaves nothing because the government has not empowered you and decided to vote for, invest in people like you. Then we call this thing of black economic empowerment. It's a good thing. I support empowerment and I support black economic empowerment specifically, but not individuals.
Not individual, okay.
You see, we have empowered individuals who are invited by the same whites. But wena siyakuthemba was wena, but what happens to those?
Can be controlled because now he was, yeah.
So then we are living in a system where there's a few blacks amongst all of us, and we aspire. And then the worst part, when how it's it's people, it's connections.
Exactly,
yes. When also no beef na but you live uthandaza namakhandlela ubhala phansi ukuthi ukopa ditender wetsang batla kanti no, it's not a function of God.
Yeah.
It's a function of the system and influence and network. You don't have network. Network is how if that's the extent of your network. So that thing is wrong. That's why we need to empower where black people are in terms of economies. There should be no way when we get into power where we allow the continuation of the current BEE. Okay. The workers there must take shareholding. So there's parts
not
where
individual from outside who takes the workers that work. Okay.
So we have to have schemes for workers, groups and individuals. You can't tell me an individual who is worth easily 10, 15 billion US dollar must still be empowered at the expense of the others. So, and you see, our country is so reliant on things from outside of the country. We cannot feed our own chicken industry and sustain it. Our textile industry has gone down to the drain. Our manufacturing industry has gone down to the drain. And even in that, we can't even say, you see, if a government really loved black people, they would say, what is the commodities the VAL consumes? Not has, consumes. Consumes. So we know, which is so many people want to buy bread every day. So many people, chicken, blah, 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 blah. But why don't you then set up an economy which supports the VAL by people of the VAL? As opposed to then creating this thing and then going to buy ShopRite. Or ShopRite has showed us over the past 10 years, look at how much YT Basson has been earning. And the difference between the income of ShopRite and your Woolies and your Pick and Pays, because YT Basson 15 years ago decided we're going to the township. So our money does not assist us. So I'm tired of a situation where we must constantly become beggars and sit around with people. Meanwhile, you've got money. So the mere fact we've got money circulating in our hands, but we're investing it in wrong areas. So let's work together, let's do no. We must invest in creating manufacturing for the things that is circulating, that is being spent on in our own communities. we must ensure that we are self-sufficient. And we must ensure, because it's important that the economy of the Val people in the Val must participate meaningfully. But at the same time, then there's a difficult conversation that we need to have, Guti, that democracy, this modern democracy does not work. And in our view, what makes it not to work is because of the exclusion of Amakhosi. Now, the ideology of Shiluba is Ubuntu. We have said we're going to choose an African indigenous language, Ubuntu. Shiluba, which is Tsonga for flower. So how Free State barike palace and Mause KZN but yeah, and you can call it whatever you call it. But the essence you're calling is that we believe in Ubuntu. What is Ubuntu? Ubuntu, according to us, has three aspects. Umuntu abantu, isintu, namasiko. So it means I advocate for all of those things. So many people are saying, but what about Amakholwa? And I'm saying, but that's it. You are responding to a different question. When you speak about Ubuntu, we're speaking to who you are, not what you are.
Okay, yeah.
So what you are is the choices you make. Yeah. So but see, address this thing. Now then, if we say then is Ubuntu is abantu umuntu. Isintu namasiko. Who's the custodian of these things? Amakhosi. So now we go deep. And these things must happen somewhere. Who's the original landowners here? Amakhosi. So then we then say the custodian of land in the country should never be the republic. It should be Amakhosi.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Now that's why we're saying we are a flower.
Yeah.
Because we are offering this thing. I made a choice, which I'm not going to say this party is the Association of Freedom Democratic.
Yeah.
Imagine, you see, not imagine, you might be aware, go to the ANC was started by Amakhosi.
Of course.
And they asked for two things. They said, go and get our land and our dignity. ANC abuya ne one man one vote ne democracy ebunya sokuthol makumele kulungise lento
We don't have the
umhlaba
land.
yeah
We don't have the dignity.
yeah but you see you can expand land is the physical thing but equally land is umthetho that presides over the land. So we see when you speak about land you speak about two things. There in fact three things. What is beneath the land, minerals. What is on top of the land. And also what presides, the laws that presides over Umhlaba. Umhlaba is currently presided over a constitution which is largely informed by Dutch, Roman, and British law. And then under that, there's customary law. Holistically, guna lena and then guna layetu. Layetu abantu abangaya understand ukuthi, but there's a difference. You can opt. Umuntu makagenza something, you can opt to go not to court but to pursue customary law. And pursue again dunenya can say moto nishapile mon. And then this guy sits here and then presides and say if it's a ruling umbadali inkomezo too. So our the into that matters to us imithetho yethu. There's no laws to apply. And this is very important for us, and this is the fundamental difference and why I said I'm not going to join any political party, because I see this is the thing I believe in.
Okay.
Amakhosi were taken, but politicians athathe amandla amakhosi from them. Amakhosi are now subservient to politicians. Amakhosi they need politicians to sit in the committee and appropriate funding to Amakhosi. Amakhosi earn a stipend. Now imagine if Amakhosi were to have enough powers to even tell politicians, well, this is not better much. What you are doing is not good for my people. And addressing the issue of what's below the earth, what's above. Imagine one guy owning mines with what's below the earth, and then you've got Induna Lapeshir.
Yeah, no. No, Yasha much. So I'm just saying, doesn't it take us back to Bantu stance? Because I think that's another thing that the ANC started fighting a lot, saying you cannot do this because it's dividing us. This thing about Bantu stance, doesn't it take us there? We don't believe so. Okay. In fact, the issue of land and ownership predates Bantu stance. Okay. Because Umhlaba Tatule somebody, and they were also given land to preoccupy, to coexist, but they wanted more.
So we believe, Wuti, the future of the country and the democracy must go into what in our view we call a blended modern democracy, which is a democracy which gives enough powers to Amakhosi. The constitution gives limited powers to Amakhosi, and also their participation in provinces is aesthetic. I was at Tshwane once when there was a lot of drama in Tshwane, and Amakhosi was sitting back and watching. They couldn't do anything. So now you are saying dignity to Amakhosi. They are there, they represent aspirations of their people. Abakhethwanga bazalwe into this thing. But abakwazi ukukhuza laba abakhethiwe. Abazomosha bona this thing. When politicians get on desk, threaten each other, or point at the speaker like this, let's say all these things. So my observation from that period and over a period of time is a realization that we need a backup between politicians and the people. And Amakhosi. It's not going to be NGOs or the court, etc., etc. We must amend our laws to include umthetho yethu. Masikhuluma ngomthetho wezwe, kumele include umthetho wethu, not foreign laws. For an example, it's important ukuthi we clarify issues that affect abantu abamnyama, ezosiko, ezesintu, because some of the time we say something isethu, but it has become umkhuba. There's a difference. Some things are isintu umkhuba. So abanye babazothi isintu sakithi besikanje, then you say, but in the back then bekungana amabhayi ukuthi mawuzile ufake into emnyama. So iphuma apha into emnyama asisintu. So yabona into that we are going to unfold in the journey. Sikwazi ukuhlukanisa ukuthi yini isintu, yini isiko ngempela.
But then how do you balance it out? Because honestly, the scale is not for all Amakhosi. Only the Zulu king gets the biggest preference than anybody else. How do you plan to balance it out?
There has to be equalization. Fortunately, what's good for us is that we've got Amakhosi few, so we won't have just one monarch.
Okay.
So we need to balance out. So there has to be fairness in the allocation of the resources. You know, and when you're speaking to Amanye Amakhosi, we're saying to us, look at when Mrs. Zulu, Nkosi Mrs. Zulu, His Excellency was being coronated. One, coronation yake, the country stood still. And then look at Umjaji, Queen Umjaji, it felt like it was a baby shower. You see, those things, how to equalize. So from where we stand, we don't see Nkosi phezu
Yeah.
So bonke.
Now it's not like that.
No. Tina, funa ukulinganisa from a supportive government as well. Ilingane nakhona. But there has to be a defined funding mechanism for Amakhosi, which ensures that there's equitable distribution of resources to Amakhosi. But remember, these are landowners, you know. So, and remember, there's the historical context of a KZN, because in their provincial constitution, they gave specific powers to the Zulu monarch and allocated the land under the Ngonyama Trust. And remember, just on the eve of the 1994 elections, IFP with AWB were saying they're not participating in this. But IFP changed when they gave, or ANC agreed to these conditions, and also in Ngonyama Trust. That was the formation of it. Because they said guarantee monarch over our king and also land, which was quite strategic for them. But for us, we need to stabilize and equalize. For an example, our research is also, we are learning a lot of things, even Nobukhosi Walaneval. The three rivers original was called Mafehle, because Maklangana, Kariafetla, Bacho Jala Basut. So, Ebesuga, Lane, Denisville, here Geelingstad, from Geelingstad here at Klerksdorp. That was the territory ya Bahulukwe. Mahulukwe kapa Bahulukwe. That was their that was their territory. And then others will tell you the territory ya Skukune goes until just outside of, just before Midrand. From north, right, because he also fought a battle in Nabelung in Pretoria. So it's those things. So Mina, I'm saying the mistake that many people made was to engage in this conversation with at the exclusion of Amakhosi, who are very important stakeholders. And we believe we need to amend our laws to create a proper blended democracy, which creates areas that are exclusive to Amakhosi, Then there are areas that is a blend between Amakosi and government, and there's an area which is exclusive to government. But there are clear buffers in that.
Is there anyone that you say you would never work with in coalition?
For us, we won't start with that. We've obviously distanced ourselves and rejected the call from the DA to be part of the Moonshot Pact. I don't understand their approach now. Here is how I'm interpreting it. These are people who are saying we will not be able to win an election outright. So already they are losers. They are admitting to all of us that we are losers, but we also have invited other losers. So now we are a bunch of losers together. So as a bunch of losers together, we want to get enough bunch of losers so we can try and get to 51%. On the one side, we are selling an aspiration to our people and saying Shiloba is different because of the following reason. You don't go into a battle like that and tell your people that we've already lost. Yeah, we are trying to get this one and this one and this one. So then the whole thing is nonsensical. Who would you work for and who would you work with without? Because we've not even lost. We are saying we're going to win. We're going for 51%. Makube siyahluleka sizobona ngamuva ukuthi siphelele kuphi. And then from there we're saying this is what we stand for. Ubani esingasebenza nawo uzovumela this thing. Because just like others were saying, we can't compromise on this, you can't compromise on this. That way we know what we won't compromise on. Angeke sizosebenza nabantu abazothi lento enemhlaba namakhosi asizwisisi thina. Hayi lapho then hayi. Amanzi no oil lapho. So, but it's a conversation after. But for now, we completely distance ourselves from this conversation with the Moonshot Pact. We're not speaking to any political party. The only persons that we are speaking to, Tina, are South Africans, those who are unregistered, eligible to register but unregistered, and those who are registered but don't vote, and those who are registered and do vote. So we are growing really well in the rural areas. We recruit the child and the parents. Okay. No, start Tina, because people understand what we are trying to do and why it's important for us to be able to do so. Elections is about animating and inspiring people. And that's why we keep saying, but Shiloba is different. And today you understand what our difference is.
Actually, this is for the first time I perfectly understand what Shiloba stands for, because honestly, I've never really gotten to this depth of it. Yeah. I saw your tweet congratulating Malema, on the job well done.
Yeah.
Do you believe in what EFF stands for?
No. You can. When you congratulate people for doing well, doesn't mean I support what they stand for.
Yeah, but the question stands.
If I did, I wouldn't have established Shilok.
Okay.
I would have joined.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because if I believe in it, I must believe in it enough to be a member of it.
You don't believe in what it stands for or how the message gets portrayed?
No, it's not about the message. It's the fact that, as I've articulated, have you heard the message I've been, the substantive points I've been making about why Shiluba exists? Have you heard from any other political party?
No, nobody else.
It shows you that we are...
And he does touch on the kings, I think. Even on his last trainer, he said they need to balance out because this thing of... But he does not touch intensely as you do, of course.
Which demonstrate our difference.
Okay.
So, but the one thing we must not be shy. The truth is the truth. Even if you don't like the man, but you must tell the truth. The past decade belongs to EFF. They have been the single biggest political influence in the country since 2013. You can't take that away from them. Yeah. I mean, I'm bold enough to say what they owned the past decade. Pella, with EFF coming in, there was now a transition of power from ANC. Look at how Mashaba became mayor. It's because of EFF. EFF said, we're not going to vote for others, we'll vote for you. And they did that. So transfer of power in the metros, EFF. In Tshwane, Ekurhuleni, Johannesburg, EFF. And in other parts, in the PE, EFF. So DA alone has not been able to do these things. They've benefited largely by the emergence of EFF. So if you look at such things, I mean, it scares a lot of people, but you can't take away from the fact that they've been the single biggest influence politically in the past decade.
Nationalization. Are you for it as Chiluba, or
Nationalization of what?
strategic resources? You know, your mines, your banks. Okay, banks can be nationalized, but maybe like the EFF says, create a state-owned bank. Are you for such? Let's start with nationalization, mines. You know, and yeah.
What is beneath the land should be owned in part by Amakosi and for the benefit of all, not for some. So when you start saying EPE and there's one party that constitutes 50%, it doesn't make sense for us. We actually want maximum benefit. So it's about how you set up vehicles in various areas which ensures maximum benefit of a broader community than one person. Okay. So I believe we have a right. In fact, we are duty bound to benefit maximally South Africans through our resources, and equally we must create schemes where we ensure that we invest into the beneficiation process. So our mining industry is largely extractive. Our key part goes to Richards Bay, it goes to other ports of exit, and it goes. There's no further beneficiation into other things. So the further beneficiation is important of things like that because it offers opportunities, etc. But you can't do those things successfully if you can't deliver power, reliable power generation, and with capacity to fuel and pump those things. And you can't do so when your rail infrastructure is sabotaged the way it is. So those are things that are important. Insofar as, so that addresses the below the yeah, okay. So there must be maximum benefit for people there where they are as opposed to individuals. So moving away from the modality of individuals as opposed to a number of people, local stakeholders. And now then you speak about issues of space, state bank, etc., etc. I think the state should have a state bank. I think rather the postnet should be repurposed to be a state bank. It does not make sense to me that government has not repurposed the state and created, because you've got your IDC, you've got your PIC, all coming from the same coffers, which must fuel some parts of the economy and perform specific mandates according to the statutes that creates them. So you do need a state bank. It has to have a specific reason of existence. To try and deal with a number of things as well, be it infrastructure, be it funding the development of the country, funding things, whatever that is of national importance. But equally ensuring that as much people transact with the bank as a transactional bank, that's quite important. Look at the number of civil servants as a start. So if you make a ruling that civil servants shall use this already, from transactional fees and all of that, you have those, and I think the banking, the banking community of the country has been minimal, and part of the thing is that it has benefited from lack of new entrants. That's why you can count banks in the country in one hand, and that's not very good. But that I do think that there's value for a bank that is owned by the country to perform specific predetermined objectives.
Okay. Just a few things before we let you go that I think are very key for people to understand. Employment is way down. What's your plan of trying to revive this?
Yeah. Look, I think one, you must understand the government is going to play a central role in uplifting people. More than 60% of young people are unemployed. And the Stats SA tells us when they get to the ages of 30, they become unemployable. So one of the things you need to do, you can't move away from the fact that government must be able to absorb. Government must create a temporary path for people to be absorbed in government. Now the question is to do what in government? So we need to bring all entry into government under one program. And the precondition to benefit in that program is conscription.
Okay.
voluntary conscription,
Okay.
is the easiest way of removing millions and hundreds of black young people on the streets by putting them into conscription. And even if you create a stipend system around that, the mere fact that they are not in the streets and social development does not need to pay through rehabs shows you the value. But as opposed to paying it there, you're paying them while they're here. So the 2 years of being in conscription gives government an opportunity to reset and then create a path for mapoisa, amasoja, amanurse, and also others you can reskill and upskill. The thing that scares me most for people is those who don't have a path. There are those who are universities, some might have a path, they can able to compete, some have skills, but there are millions of those who don't have a path. Those who don't have a path are the ones who are prone to inyao, drugs, crime, and they're killing their futures. And imagine a young person who's 21 saying, the biggest thing I want is an RTP house. When that person must work and then develop and do what they need to do. So for us, we see voluntary conscription as one of the mechanisms which will assist us in building capacity to manage our borders, building capacity to manage our ports of entry, and ensuring that we deploy more safety officers in our communities. So ensure that the ratio between safety officers and population becomes much more respectable, so we're able to deal with these things.
What the Premier of Gauteng is doing, do you find it sustainable?
It's important. So, one, we welcome the Nasespani program. The sustainability around it is going to be something that government will need to foot the bill for. Yeah. Because it's largely funded by government to respond to the plight of young people. And it's interesting that the sustainability question comes when government is leading such programs. And private sector is not the one that's leading these things. If we don't deal with it, it's going to manifest in one way or another. Yeah. And in the way that it might manifest is a way that is going to kill the fabric of our society. So I really think that there has to be an appreciation. You see, if politicians act like things are normal, it's going to kill us. It's going to take extraordinary steps to be able to move young people from pockets of hopelessness and lawlessness and alcohol. Because what that does, if we don't do something now, we don't save the labor part. If you look at those who are employed, majority of them are close to retirement. What does it mean for a country that must still continue to produce goods? So this energy you need. So you must be able to streamline and put into something. But government must take the lead, even though there will be collaborators from private sector who will help, but government must take the lead. So the program of growth in this country will government from absorbing these people, massive infrastructure investment, massive. We have not built new dams. We have not built a number of things that deal with the bulk infrastructure for growth where we're going as a country. We've not done issues of breaking down economies to scale in the area and protecting our people. So we've created a situation where someone from China can come here, get you a partner, and then dominate an industry, which for me does not make sense. I mean, it's important that local economies around where they live, those people there must feed into that.
Education.
Education is one of the most exciting for me because we believe, one, we need to change the curriculum for education. We need to shape education toward the society of the future. So education which creates capacity, sharpens the mind for critical thinking, but also develops skills. So we want to introduce a number of subjects. One of those subjects will be civic education from primary school. So to start teaching them young about civic education, your rights, responsibilities, voting, what is the Constitution, what is orders. So civic education, then history will be back. You see, the worst thing we did as a country is to forego on history and not make it compulsory. Because we take for granted, we're having citizens who don't have an appreciation of where we come from. And history is an important subject. So civic education, history, and engineering. These are subjects we introduce at primary. Instead of asking our children to build volcanoes, I did this volcano thing. Your volcanoes is subject. No. You see, engineering it's a abafundisa abantwana bethu about water purification, sanitation, electricity, and a number of things, basic things, building roads. So imagine you as a parent, nikwatile where you live, nyochisi strat, umntana enozokubuza wafika, you know it's a. Do you know what happens when you burn these things? This is what happens to the bitumen, this is what happens to this. But do you think as a father, you will go back there again? Because no, you understand what your accountability is, not just you now. Your child is going to say, but what you're doing is destroying, and equally destroying for me. So we must defeat this mindset of breaking the things because we're upset with government. We must protect those things. So we need to ramp up education, and it has to be accessible. Education must be free. It must not be commoditized. We must ensure that we give good quality education.
Free, like from grade R to varsity?
We believe grade R to your first degree.
Okay.
Junior degree.
Okay.
And we believe that with the mineral wealth, we are able to create, as the EFF speak about, the wealth sovereign fund to be able to fund these things. So we must build a citizen that's educated, that's critical, that can think, that's capable, that's got skills. That's the best way the country can survive. You know, ignorance is one way to undermine a country's independence rather.
Entrepreneurship.
Oh, that's very important. Entrepreneurship is, we must fuel innovation. And people, because there are those who are saying, I might be educated, but I'm good kamatso. So I must create the skills base. And you see the problem with how we define entrepreneurship is crazy, because many people who are unemployed think they are entrepreneurs, but because they've got no option. But our mothers who are selling on the side of the roads, those are real entrepreneurs. And there's no scheme from government that says we recognize you, we are going to fund you, we're going to grow, so there's vertical integration. So ultimately you start by selling potatoes and end up with owning a farm. We don't think like that. And that's exactly how we must think about this thing. So one, we must have an appreciation of who entrepreneurs are, support entrepreneurs, vertical integration, and go deeper into the value chain. There'll be those who will innovate, disrupt things. We must create, so we must be a country that supports technological innovations and advancement. And we must increase from, I think, 8% of national budget of R&D, research and development spend, we must increase it higher to below 15%. I think that's going to unlock value in industry, new technology, new things. And if we do that more, we'll see. In fact, when the US was going through the Great Depression, they did not decrease on R&D. They kept, in fact, they increased R&D. Till now, we don't see it as value. So for us, we must really stimulate with R&D a lot, of supporting entrepreneurs, creating an environment for entrepreneurs. But you know, an environment for entrepreneurs requires a government that works. Finished. So one of the things we are going to do is get a government that works. So when the thing that happened in Midval, when you are there, you don't need Bongani to link you to so and so, but because you've got a general issue, they will take your issue, they will deal with your issue. So we just need a government that works. A government that works already, that's the first foundation for a conducive environment. Simple.
Wow. Mr. Baloyi, this time really flew you.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, but thank you very much, and all the best with Shiluba. All the best, and we just want to see more radical thinking people in our political landscape, because I think it's important. And for it to happen, people consider to at some point as you go through that. But we wish you the best, and we hope it's not the last time we have, and we'll still cover you whenever you've got things around where you just But
thank you so much. No, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
And that was the Bongani Baloyi from Shiluba. Great interview, Ben. I think we've learned and find out, because I've been seeing Shiluba, but I have not really understood what they stood for. But today I know, and I hope that you also understand and know now. Thanks.